And we are on game 6 of our best of 7 finals. This is turning out to be quite a battle back and forth. It at first looked like it may have been a little one-sided, but Magus and Inukshuq definitely putting the Blackhawk down pressure back in, and now with their recommitment to their original strategy, found some success, and we'll have to see if they can repeat it, and if so, what Costanza and Freedom will do to try and counter it. Costanza and Freedom, of course, more mid-game players, with their early harass just being for expansion denial and maybe a little bit of scouting. Especially Costanza, he's known for this death ball he does that's extremely effective but requires a little bit of time to get rolling, relying really on stalkers kind of more later into the early game to try and defend a little bit, but we'll have to see what strategy they go with now. Definitely Costanza and Freedom have changed up their strategies multiple times in this series and could very easily do it again, so we'll have to see what kind of approach they decide to take after that game 5 loss. So here on game 6, we're only 2 games away from a champion. Could be even this game. Magus and Inukshuq are still in a must-win situation, as they were down 2 games before they won the last game. So they will still have to win this game to stay alive, forcing a game 7. If they can tie it, it'll be a pretty intense come-from-behind possible victory there for them, as being down 3-1. It's pretty, I mean, they've basically been behind this entire game, so this entire series. So to come back and win it in a game 7 would be extremely climactic, but we'll have to see. Freedom and Costanza definitely don't want that to happen. They have worked very hard to get here. We have seen some very impressive builds from them, some very just extremely efficiently executed tactics. So definitely looking to see what they have in store this time around. We see, of course, lots and lots of drone play going on. Very common for these teams. It's almost become a little bit of a mini game here in the early few minutes of the games here to see whose drones can kill more units. A little bit of friendly banter even about it back and forth. See Freedom going down for an early expansion, as well as Magus getting this expansion up here on the north side. Freedom going for something a little close, going, I guess the best thing for a natural that you could possibly reference here. This map, Lunar Colony 5, if you don't recognize it, it's a new map that was introduced in Season 4. I like it. It's very similar to Magma Core in the sense where the center tile here is very freed up. Not any bases hanging out to get in the way. Meanwhile, all the bases are off to the side. Lots and lots of weeds to protect for vision and stuff. So I like it a lot better. I like the flow that Blizzard's going with this. So on the unit front, we do see no wall-in attempt here, and Costanza looks like he is going with his traditional build. Going to go ahead and go for that early stalker and then eventual death ball roll into. I mean, a little early to tell, but that's what it looks like so far. Meanwhile, Magus going for that early expansion there, and Inukshuq playing more true to his style, going 1 base roaches. I think he wants to even maybe try to outdo his roach count from last time. And we haven't seen, it looks like Magus neglecting the roaches, going for the Zerglings this time, so they're going to go traditional Blackhawk down on this and see what they can do about maybe denying some early expansions. Definitely have some opportunities already, even with just these handful of units. There's still an undefended base over here from Freedom that they haven't scouted yet, it just looks like Costanza and Freedom are not going to let them dictate how they play, and they're not going to also bet on an early attack, because they're playing right now like this is a mid-game battle, and the way it's looking on the other side is that this is going to be an early game battle with a Roach Ling attack coming in. And oh no, look at this, Costanza rolling in with his traditional trademark 3 stalkers and a handful of Zerglings. And these Zerglings will try to get at least one. Oh no, they're going to pull back, and it's so funny to watch Zerglings engage without speed, because they are just so slow, or at least they look so slow compared to that speed upgrade kicks in. It's almost like they run in slow motion. So and you'll see them pull back. Nice little how do you do. And they are going to just pull back and not attempt to do anything. With Zerglings on the field, however, Magus will go for his Banelings, which he used very effectively in some of his lower bracket games to kind of take out all of the Zerglings of his opposing player and kind of even the score a little bit. Those 4 Banelings can be enough to take out all the Zerglings, and now the Zerglings have speed. You see a nice buildup of units here. A much smaller buildup from Freedom, combination Roach Ling and a handful of Stalkers. If they are going to go, though, they need to go now because they're already at the 7 minutes, and usually Black Hawk Down starts at 6, so this strategy is a little slow. Oh, and he's rushing in there. Looks like he's going to try to take out this queen. Maybe take it. Oh, he will take the queen down. He's going to go ahead and pull back. Doesn't want to engage that spine just yet. Does have a ton of banelings, or at least 4 banelings, potential for a ton of banelings. And you see another spine going down. Looks like he's not anticipating any more attacks. And oh no, here comes a ton of roaches from Inukshuq. And there go the banelings rolling in. Oh my goodness, they just completely blew their baneling juice all over those drones. And you see a ton of Zerglings running around, lots of madness. You see definitely the unit count favoring Inukshuq and Magus as they engage. These Guardian Shields helping out a little bit. They need to try and pull it into the spine a little bit, and they do. They pull into the spine, and Inukshuq pulling back, the damage being done, but not enough. And you see more Zerglings starting to trickle in here. That will definitely help, but they need to keep this pressure up if they have any hope, because every second they wait is another second that Costanza is building up that death ball. He's a little slow to get it rolling, but once he gets it powered up, it's going to be pretty formidable. His second base is down, also undefended, but right now the focus of the Inukshuq and Magus is this expansion right here from Freedom, and they want to take it. And you know what Freedom's saying? You can take my hatchery, but you'll never take my freedom. See a lot of Zerglings play back and forth here. A lot of roaches coming in. That spine still standing. You see these roaches kind of bullying in. A force field going down, trying to split them up. They will pop that spine, it looks like. And oh no, they're completely trapped in here with this. 3 roaches coming up from behind. These Stalkers are great against roaches. Their rate of fire completely outdoing the roach. Extra damage and extra hit points to boot. And these roaches are in a lot of trouble now. Inukshuq needs to pull them back. Meanwhile, we see a lot of Zerglings from Magus rolling in all over the place. Not sure where they're going quite yet. We see an Immortal on the field negating a big chunk of the Roach advantage right now. This is not looking good for Inukshuq and Magus, as they are now starting to fall behind on the economy, as their early attacks have not been as effective. They waited 1 minute too long, it looks like, to attack that expansion base. See lots of Zerglings running in here, and they will just blow right past the army, go straight for the mineral line, and they will definitely do some damage. And the aggro from these Stalkers is going to pull them away, and it looks like they're going to pull back a little bit and at least try to get those workers evacuated. We see Zealots warping in to deal with the problem. Zealots very effective, of course, against them. These Zerglings just not being microed properly right now, just kind of hitting a solid wall up here as they're trying to get more and more harassment and putting him on hold. A great move on his part. Magus definitely doing some damage here. He's going to go ahead and suicide the rest of these Lings, but take out a good chunk of workers. We see the worker count for Freedom drop to 15. Definitely getting some good econ harass on Freedom. Very essential right now. Costanza having to pull all these workers, losing at least a good 30-45 seconds of mining. Very, very expensive for him. You see all his gas mining has completely come to a stop. He has no gas for Stalkers, only Zealots at this point. See more Zerglings rushing in, along with a bunch of roaches walling up over here, but they're not consolidating their attacks. And unfortunately, there is nothing for these Zerglings to really kill at this point. Inukshuq finally building an expansion a few minutes ago, but has not tried to mine it yet. We do see some more drones working their way in that direction. This is definitely turning into a little bit of a macro battle, even though it looked like they were going to try to stick with their Black Hawk Down 6-minute rush. And at this point, I don't really know who has the advantage. It's very, very close right now. We have a very formidable army from Costanza. We have a very nerfed economy from Freedom, still trying to bounce back with just a handful of roaches. If these Zerglings were anything but Zerglings, I would say the advantage solidly lies in Inukshuq and Magus. But right now, they have Zerglings with no real target. They can't get access to these Stalkers without these Zealots tearing them apart. They can try to scout a little bit. You see one of Costanza's scouts eyeing these Zerglings as they run in to try and find an expansion, and there it is. They went ahead and found the next natural. They go in, try to take out as many probes as possible, and wow, they are popping probes left and right. And they're going to try to brute force those Zealots, but unfortunately those Zealots are too close to warping in. They will take them all down, and the rest of these Zerglings will have to evacuate out of here, as there's just nothing left in the attack. They'll try to take 1 probe with them and make that 2 probes with them. And then these rocks are in place, so they're going to have to run behind the mineral line. See them running like little kids who just stole a cookie out of a cookie jar. And unfortunately, they just got shut down by Grandma. That's not to say Costanza's old. It just it worked with the metaphor, so I went with it. Lots of Zerglings piling up here now, as we see another batch essentially of troops ready to go, ready to attack. You see Black Hawk Down in full effect here, but a Colossi is on the field, and what a gentleman he is. but he is going to completely shred these Zerglings if he finds them. And we see a lone Mutalisk flying in with a brother coming to match him, and Costanza's scout coming in to see what they've got, and he's probably a little happy to see that it's mostly light units with only a handful of roaches that will easily be dealt with this Immortal. Probably should throw an extra Immortal in there just to be on the safe side. And meanwhile we have Freedom taking more econ harassment from Magus's handful of Mutalisks. He'll be chased away by those Stalkers, and we see a Spore going down to keep him honest. 2 more Mutalisks join the fight, and we see a nice mass up here. Not enough Hydralisks to deal with the Stalker threat, but more importantly, nothing to deal with this Colossus, as it is just standing there, towering, ready to shred all Zerglings that come its way. More Zerglings on the way. Costanza's lone probe took a cigarette break and paid for it with his life. These Zerglings will roll in, try to kill more probes, take more economy away from him. Unfortunately, now the Colossus will get what it wanted, which is Zergling for dinner. And this basically just turned into Iron Chef with Zergling as the secret ingredient. And all those Zerglings go down. Probably not enough econ harass to justify it. Plenty of spores now negating the Mutalisk, and still try to use it to try and pop a Colossus, but really you want to try to use Corruptors for that, as they get a bonus to massive targets. And we see Magus rolling in. Let's take a look at the economy. See Costanza really hurting from the early attacks that he's been suffering. You see all these probes going back and forth, back and forth. They spend more time going back and forth between bases and Zergling attacks than they do actually mining. And you see, even though his harvester count is high, he just doesn't have enough income because he can't leave them at work long enough. You see Freedom still behind on Harvesters, definitely taking an econ hit, but amazingly, even with all this econ harass that they're successfully inflicting, they have not been able to match this Death Ball. And this Death Ball now has become a major threat, as it is eyeing both expansions from the enemy team. And here they go, rolling in. See both Colossus just tearing the place apart. Zealots, no charge on them yet, but they will definitely do a number on all of these workers that have not been evacuated. These Stalkers also just kind of hanging back, protecting a single Immortal, ready to deal with any Roach threat. And here we go, finally some Corruptors, Roach and Hydralisk at the ready. Finally all these workers evacuating on their own accord. And you see them pulling back a handful of Stalkers to try and deal with this harass. So much harassment going on from Magus right now. He's just not leaving these probes alone, trying as hard as possible to deny as many resources as he can. Costanza's really been able to build up this army solely from being able to just not lose any units. I mean, it's just so difficult to inflict any damage on this Death Ball right now. I mean, nothing short of maybe just massive Baneling Hydralisk Ball is going to do anything about it. You see Freedom matching with his own Mutalisk, coming in and doing his own harassment, getting some revenge on Magus for all the times that he's nailed him, and finally taking out a good econ chunk from him. Magus, though, on 3 bases, is able to bounce back pretty sharply from it. Still actually the #1 econ in this game, so he's still been able to maintain a pretty solid hold on everything. And you see the Death Ball rolling in, saying, I am fed up with this, let's go. Got plenty of Corruptors here, though, to try and deal with these Colossus. The Colossi kind of lingering back, 3 of them total, and trying to pick off a few Stalkers, a little bit of baiting tactics back and forth, trying to kill some of these overlords, maybe deny some resource, maybe deny some supply. We see a huge flock of Mutalisks rolling in. It's amazing how much efficiency they have been able to gain using all these units, and oh no, this is just not looking good at all. It's just way too many units for Magus and Inukshuq to deal with. Inukshuq's army completely gone. Inukshuq leaves the game. This could be it, unless some miracle can be had. It looks like this game 6 is going in favor of Costanza and Freedom, and they pull off an amazing victory considering the insane economy harassment that they had. A well-played series from Inukshuq and Magus, but the win goes to Costanza and Freedom, giving them 4 out of 7 wins, making them our new Vanquish Gaming 2v2 Gold Tournament champions. A great round of applause to them and to all